I pulled my small Honda Civic into the guest parking lot at Azure Heights Resort. I could see my mom's shiny Mercedes and my sister's fancy BMW already parked in the VIP area. The resort looked huge, like a small city, stretching across 15 acres next to a sparkling blue lake. Its glass and stone buildings shone in the sunlight, and everything looked so clean and perfect. I had picked this place very carefully for our family reunion. "There she is," my sister Sarah shouted, her voice full of attitude. "We were wondering if you would even come." I grabbed my small overnight bag from the trunk of my car. Traffic had been terrible coming from the city. "From the warehouse district, you mean?" Mom said suddenly. She appeared beside Saris, wearing her expensive sunglasses that probably cost more than my whole month's rent. Mom Eloan Vera always knew how to make a big entrance. "I'm surprised you could even afford gas, dear," she added. I forced a small smile. "I barely managed, barely from what I hear." Before I continue further, don't forget to subscribe and join the awesome community. Drop a comment below to tell me where you're watching from and what you think of the story. Saris linked her arm with Mom's. "Don't worry," she said. "We already checked into the premier suite. I'm sure they have some basic rooms in the back building where you'll be comfortable." A valet walked over to take my car keys. I handed them to him, noticing the little flicker of judgment in his eyes when he saw my old car sitting next to all the fancy luxury cars. "Separate checks, of course," Mom added as we walked inside. "I wouldn't want you to try and keep up with us. This weekend is about celebrating success." The lobby of Azure Heights took my breath away, just like it had the first time I saw the building plans 3 years ago. The ceilings were so high with big wooden beams stretching across them. A giant stone fireplace dominated one side of the lobby, and huge windows looked out over the sparkling lake. Everything had turned out exactly as I had imagined it. "Isn't it beautiful?" I asked, trying to sound proud. Saris spun slowly, looking around. "This is what real success looks like, Erilyn," she said. "Not punching a clock at a warehouse." "I'm happy for you both," I said quietly. "Are you though?" Mom asked, adjusting her designer scarf. "Every time we see you, you look tired and worn out. I told you that chasing your little dreams would get you nowhere. You should have married Theron when you had the chance. His dental practice is doing great." "Mom, I didn't want." "You were just stubborn," she cut me off. "Look where it got you. Saris is a successful realtor. I have my boutique consulting firm. And you? Lifting boxes in a warehouse." A staff member walked by with a tray of welcome champagne. Saris grabbed 3 glasses, giving one to Mom and keeping 2 for herself. "Oh, sorry, Erilyn. I forgot. You probably can't afford to tip for extras," she said. "It's complimentary," I said. "Even better. Free things are more your speed." Saris laughed, not in a mean way, just like it was obvious. We went to the check-in desk. A young woman with a name tag that said, Talia, smiled at us professionally. "Welcome to Azure Heights Resort. How can I help you?" she asked. "Reservation under Eloan Vera," Mom said, sliding her Black American Express card across the counter. "Premier Suite and Saris Vera," my sister added. "Also Premier Suite. We're here for a family reunion." Talia typed quickly on her computer. "Yes, I have both reservations. And you must be the 3rd member of the party, Miss Erilyn Vera?" "That's right," I said. Saris jumped in. "She'll be in whatever basic room you have. Separate reservation, separate billing." Talia's smile tightened a little. "Actually, Miss Erilyn Vera is listed as the primary account holder for all 3 suites." Mom's perfect eyebrows went up. "That must be a mistake. Check again, please." Saris whispered, "My sister works in a warehouse. She couldn't possibly be the primary on anything here." I felt my face get hot, not because I was embarrassed but because I was holding back my words. Talia clicked through her screens, looking more confused. "The reservation is definitely under Erilyn Vera, with 2 additional premier suites authorized for Eloan and Saris Vera. There's also a note here. Unusual." "What note?" Mom demanded. "It says Miss Erilyn Vera has special privileges at the resort, but I'd need to check with my manager," Talia explained. Saris laughed. "For a warehouse worker?" Talia said softly, "Honey, I think your system has a serious glitch. Let me call Mr. Kalin." "The general manager?" Mom asked, her voice sharp. "For regularities like this, yes. It'll just be a moment." As Talia spoke quietly on the phone, I watched Mom and Saris exchange knowing looks. This is exactly what I mean, Erilyn, Mom said, disappointed. You probably tried to use a discount code that doesn't work at resorts like this. Now you're holding up the check-in process. I didn't use a coupon, I said. Then what's this about special privileges? Saris asked. Did you lie on your reservation? That's fraud. I didn't lie, I said. A distinguished man in his 50s walked up to the desk. His suit was perfect and he looked very confident. Talia straightened immediately. Mr. Kalin, thank you for coming so quickly, she said. Of course, Talia. He looked at the computer screen, then at me. His expression changed from polite to something like shock. Miss Vera, we weren't expecting you until later tonight. Plans changed, I said calmly. He turned to Talia. Pull up the executive access codes, please. Talia's eyes went wide. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, Miss Vera. I had no idea. Level 10. Level 10. Saris asked. Mr. Kalin ignored her. He looked at me. Ms. Vera, your family's reservation. All 3 premier suites. You are listed as the approval authority for all charges and services. I am, I said quietly. Mom stepped forward. Excuse me, Mr. Kalin. Is it? I think there's confusion. My daughter works in a warehouse. She couldn't possibly have executive access. Mr. Kalin stayed calm. Mrs. Vera, there is no confusion. Your daughter works in warehouses, yes. But she is the founder of Vera Property Development Corporation. The lobby went silent. I could hear the fountain trickling behind us. Saris spoke first. That's impossible. It's not, Mr. Kalin said. Ms. Vera bought this land 7 years ago. She oversaw the building, construction, and opening. Azure Heights has been open for 2 years and is one of the top luxury resorts. 7 years ago, Mom said quietly. That's when you left Theron. For a business opportunity? I did have a business opportunity, I said. You work in a warehouse, Saris said. We see you always tired in work clothes. I inspect our warehouse facilities, I explained. We have 3 properties now. Azure Heights, Mountain View Lodge, and Coastal Haven Resort. I review each one every few months to make sure everything is perfect. Mr. Kalin nodded. Ms. Vera has very high standards. She believes luxury begins behind the scenes. Mom whispered, 3 properties? Yes, I said. The company is worth about $85 million, Mr. Kalin said. Ms. Vera owns 51%. Her partners own the rest. Saris sat down heavily. This can't be real. It is real, I said. I wanted to tell you so many times, but you never let me. You always said I was wasting my life. Saris said, you let us think you were poor. You made us think warehouse work meant failure. I never said I was struggling. You just decided it was a failure. Mr. Kalin's phone buzzed. He smiled. Ms. Vera, your guests are arriving. Should I direct them to the conference room? What guests? Mom asked sharply. I invited people for the reunion weekend. People I wanted you to meet, I said. Mr. Kalin explained. Ms. Vera has reserved the entire East Wing for the weekend. 15 suites, private dining room and conference facilities. 15 suites. Saris's voice cracked. Who needs 15 suites? My team mostly, I said. I thought you'd like to meet the people who made this possible. A group of men and women walked through the doors, some carrying folders. I recognized my CFO Dorian Vale leading the group. We had a good time, Dorian called out with a warm smile. Is this your family? This is my mother Eloan and my sister Saris, I said. Mom and Saris looked at them stunned. Dorian smiled warmly at my family. Ms. Vera has told us so much about you both, he said. We're really excited to meet you. The other team members started introducing themselves one by one. There was a tall man named Zephyr who handled the operations of our resorts, making sure everything ran smoothly. There was also a kind-looking woman named Isolde who managed guest services. Mom whispered to Saris, They all look so important. Saris didn't say anything. He just looked shocked. I smiled faintly. They helped make all this happen. And they're my team, my family at work. I wanted you to see them because they're part of my life too. Dorian turned to me. Shall we show your family the conference room? It's set up for the reunion weekend. Everything is ready for your guests. Yes, let's, I said. As we walked toward the conference room, Mom and Saris were still staring around the lobby, taking everything in. I knew they had thought they understood my life. They had thought they knew who I was. But now they were seeing the truth. I had built something incredible, even if they hadn't believed me. Mom finally spoke. Erilyn, I didn't realize. You didn't? I asked softly. No, she said, shaking her head. I thought you were struggling all these years. I wasn't struggling, I said quietly. I was building something you didn't believe in. But now you see it. Saris finally found her voice. I can't believe it. All this, you did this. Yes, I said, smiling faintly. And I'm just getting started. The team led us into the conference room, and I saw it was decorated beautifully with flowers, banners, and tables set up for everyone. My guests would arrive soon, and it was all ready. Mom and Saris just looked around, speechless. I could see the pride and shock in their eyes. They had thought I was small, unimportant, struggling, and tired. But now they were seeing the real me, the me I had built with my own hands, with hard work, determination, and vision. For the first time in years, I felt like they were truly seeing me. Not the warehouse worker they assumed I was, but the person I had become. The weekend had just begun and everything was perfect. Azure Heights Resort sparkled in the sunlight. My team stood ready to welcome the guests, and my family was finally beginning to understand what I had done. And I knew this was only the beginning. Dorian held out his hand to my mom. She shook it slowly, not really happy, like she was trying to be polite but wasn't sure how to act. It's so nice to finally meet you, Mrs. Vera, he said with a big friendly smile. Erilyn talks about you a lot. Does she? Mom said, her voice flat and quiet. She didn't sound very excited. Ulrich, another important person who usually came to meetings, couldn't make it today, Dorian continued, not noticing the tension between us. But she sent the quarterly reports, he added, handing my mom a tablet. Mom took it slowly, her hand brushing over the smooth glass surface, but she didn't say anything. Dorian smiled, completely unaware of the uneasy mood. The numbers are very good, he said proudly. Mountain View Lodge made 12% more money than we expected. Coastal Haven is already full for next summer. I looked behind Dorian and saw Isolde Ray, our head of marketing, and Cairo Soren, our director of operations. They walked into the lobby, greeting me like we had all worked together for many years. Their smiles were easy and friendly, like they belonged there. Mrs. Vera, Mr. Kalin said politely, should I show your family to their rooms first, or do you want to have the meeting first? The meeting can wait, I said quickly. Let's get everyone settled first. I wanted my family to see where they would be staying. Of course, Dorian said, turning to my mom and sister. Talia will help your family check in. His smile was wide, professional, and proud. You're staying in the Lakeview Suites. They are the best rooms. Each one is 1,800 square feet, with private balconies, separate living rooms, and a 24-hour helper ready to assist you. Normally, these rooms cost $4,000 a night, but since you're guests of Ms. Vera, you don't have to pay anything. 4,000. Saris repeated, her mouth open in surprise. Yes, per night, Mr. Kalin confirmed. Ms. Vera herself stays in the founder suite when she comes here, but it is not available to regular guests. Mom tilted her head slightly, curious. How often are you here? Once or twice a month, I said. I visit all 3 properties. I make sure everything is running perfectly. Isolde Ray walked closer with a friendly smile, holding her hands politely in front of her. Mrs. Vera, I'm Isolde, the head of marketing. I just wanted to thank you. Thank me. Mom said, her eyebrows raised, clearly confused. Erilyn had already told them about some of the things I had taught her, but seeing the people from my work thank her directly was strange. Erilyn told us how you taught her to pay attention to small details and how to present things nicely, Isolde explained. Those lessons helped us make our brand look perfect. Azure Heights is all about quiet luxury, subtle and elegant. And Erilyn learned that from watching you. Mom opened her mouth and closed it without saying a word. She didn't know what to say. And you must be Saris, Isolde continued, smiling gently at my sister. Erilyn said you're a realtor. She even used some of your decorating and staging ideas when we were making our showrooms look nice. I did, Saris said, looking surprised. I didn't expect her to use my ideas. You have a good sense of what makes a space feel welcoming, I said to her. I've always admired that about you. Cairo Soren joined us holding his phone in his hand. Is this a bad time to talk about expansion plans? We are looking at properties in Colorado and Maine, but I wanted your advice first, he said carefully. Expansion? Mom asked quietly, almost whispering. We want to have 5 properties in 3 years, Cairo explained. Erilyn is being very careful about growth. She turned down 8 potential sites last year because they weren't good enough for us. Dorian swiped on his tablet and showed a document to my mom. Mrs. Vera, you used to help small businesses grow, right? Erilyn said you were very smart in business. Have you ever thought about consulting for hotels or resorts? I don't know what to say, Mom whispered. She looked overwhelmed by everything that was happening. Say you'll think about it, Dorian said encouragingly. We need smart advisors and Erilyn thinks very highly of you. Mr. Kalin returned with key cards. Your rooms are ready, ladies. We've arranged a private dinner in the lakeside room at 7. The chef has prepared a special tasting menu. The lakeside room can seat up to 40 people, but tonight it's just your family and Erilyn's core team, so it will be more intimate and private. As Talia handed over the key cards, Sarah stared at hers like it might explode in her hands. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Erilyn, I don't understand. Why didn't you tell us about this? She asked quietly. I tried to tell you 3 years ago, I said softly. Do you remember? I said I needed to talk to you both about my business. Mom's face changed when she remembered Thanksgiving. You said you had something important to discuss. And you said you were too busy with your own clients to hear about my little projects, she said. You left early. Both of you did, I said gently but firmly. I remember, Sarah said quietly. You seemed excited about something. I thought it was another failed startup idea. It wasn't. Azure Heights had just opened. We were 3 months into operations and already making a profit. I wanted to share that with you. But you kept working in warehouses, I explained. You still showed up to family dinners in work clothes looking tired like I was the one working hard, Mom said, her voice shaky. I was working hard. I still am. Luxury hotels don't run themselves. Someone has to check the linens, inspect the kitchens, review maintenance, and make sure everything is perfect. I'm not afraid to do the hard work myself, I said. Mr. Kalin's phone buzzed again and his face lit up with excitement. Ms. Vera, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Architectural Digest is on the phone. They want to confirm your interview for next month's feature on innovative hotel design. Architectural Digest? Sarah said, her mouth open. She looked like she might faint. We're being featured in the Visionary Spaces section, I explained. They want to show how we combine sustainability and luxury in our resorts. You are being featured, Mom said slowly, still not fully believing it. And Erilyn, Isolde added, checking her own phone. Forbes confirmed that you made the 40 under 40 list for hospitality innovation. They'll announce it next week. Forbes, Mom repeated slowly like she couldn't believe it. Dorian grinned. She's been dodging their calls for 6 months. She doesn't like publicity, he said. I prefer to let the hotels speak for themselves, I said proudly. Cairo added, we're getting inquiries from 3 big hotel chains about buying properties. Not selling, I said quickly. Absolutely not selling. Mr. Kalin gestured toward the elevators. Ladies, shall I show you to your rooms? Your luggage has already been delivered. We rode up in silence. Mom, Saris, and I were in one elevator. The walls were mirrors, forcing us to look at our reflections. 3 women with the same last name, the same brown eyes, the same strong jaw. But strangers really. This is you, Mrs. Vera, Mr. Kalin said as the elevator doors opened on the 3rd floor. He led Mom to her corner suite and opened the door with a flourish. The suite was everything I had designed it to be, elegant, comfortable, with the perfect balance of luxury and warmth. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over the lake. A fireplace made of real stone glowed softly, and the furniture made you want to sit down and relax. Champagne was chilling, fresh flowers were in a vase, and a welcome gift package sat on the table. You designed every detail, I said softly. It's beautiful, Erilyn, Mom whispered. We moved on to Saris's suite next. It was the same layout but with slightly different colors and decorations. My sister stood in the center of the living room, turning slowly to take everything in. The staging, you really did use my techniques, she said, her eyes wide. You're good at what you do. I wanted to learn from that, I said. But you never asked what I was learning for, Sarah said quietly. Mr. Kalin excused himself, leaving us alone. The silence stretched long, almost like taffy being pulled slowly. Finally, Mom spoke. I need to understand something, Erilyn. But why let us think you were struggling? I didn't let you think that. You assumed. And every time I tried to tell you, you talked over me. You were so convinced I was failing that you couldn't see what I was actually doing. I work in warehouses because I care about quality. I inspect every facility myself to make sure everything is perfect. But you saw the dirty clothes and decided I was failing. Sarah sat down on the sofa, letting her designer bag fall to the floor. The warehouse thing. We said that a lot, didn't we? Every phone call, every family gathering. At Aunt Linda's birthday, I introduced you to her friends as my sister who works in warehouses, Mom said slowly. What did you tell them? Sarah asked. I said I worked in logistics, I said. Which was true but not the whole truth. No one asked for the whole truth. They just nodded and moved on. Mr. Kalin's voice came over the intercom in the suite. Ms. Vera, your 4 o'clock meeting with the interior design team is in 15 minutes. Should I push it back? No, I'll be right down. I pressed the response button. You have meetings, Mom said quietly. It's a working weekend for you. You're finishing the Colorado properties design plans. Dinner is at 7. You're welcome to join us or have room service. Everything is free. Why? Sarah asked, confused. I don't know what to say, she said softly. Don't apologize yet, I said. First, think about why you want to apologize. It's not just about the warehouse comments, is it? It's that you dismissed my work without knowing what it was. You decided my life was small without asking me. You measured my worth by your standards instead of seeing what I was building, I said. You're right, Mom said quietly. Until we really understand that, we can't fix what's broken between us. I left them in their $4,000 a night suites, staring at the proof of my success. The design meeting ran longer than I expected. By the time I finished and changed for dinner, it was already 6:30. I stayed in the founder suite, the biggest and most private room at Azure Heights. I had spent countless nights here over the past 2 years, fine-tuning operations, training staff, and making sure every little detail met my standards. This resort was my dream come true, and it had gone better than I ever imagined. My phone buzzed. Dorian, your mom and sister are already at dinner. They look really surprised. Should I be gentle with them? I wondered for a moment, then smiled. I texted back, just be yourself, but maybe don't start with the money stuff. The room by the lake was glowing with candlelight when I arrived. The soft yellow light reflected on the water outside the windows. My team was already sitting at the long table. Dorian, Isolde, Cairo, and the department heads I had invited were all there, looking happy and relaxed. My mom and sister were at one end of the table. They looked a little out of place, like they had walked into a world they didn't know. I tried not to laugh. They really didn't look like they expected all of this. Isolde waved me over. We were just telling your family about the awards we won for helping the environment last year, she said cheerfully. My mom's eyes went wide. Azure Heights is carbon neutral, she whispered. It's very important to me, I said, taking my seat at the head of the table. Being fancy and helping the environment can go together. You can have luxury and still care for the planet. The chef came to bring the first dish, a tiny fancy appetizer called an amuse-bouche. It was beautifully arranged with fresh local ingredients. I had spent months making friends with local farmers and food suppliers so that everything we served would be fresh and sustainable. This is amazing, Sarah said softly, looking at the plate in front of her. Lucien Val is really good. I hired him from a famous restaurant in Chicago, I said proudly. During dinner, my team told stories about the company's growth, the problems we faced, and how I lead. They didn't realize that their stories were filling in years of missing information for my mom and sister. It was like a little movie showing them the real story of Azure Heights. The first year was really hard, Cairo said. Erilyn practically lived here. She worked 18 hours a day learning every job, even housekeeping, maintenance, and the kitchen. She still does that sometimes. Last month she even worked the breakfast shift in the kitchen because we were short on staff, and she wanted to understand the problems herself. Isolde added. I smiled and said, quality control. You can't manage something if you don't understand it. You have to know what happens in every part of your business. Dorian raised his glass. To the best boss we could ask for. Fair, smart, and someone who never asks anyone to do something she wouldn't do herself. Everyone at the table raised their glasses to me. Mom's hand shook slightly as she lifted her champagne glass. I could see pride and surprise in her eyes. After dessert, people started leaving. Some went to their rooms and others went to the bar to talk more. Eventually only Mom, Saris, and I were left. The soft music from the restaurant had stopped, and the candles burned lower, making the room feel quiet and peaceful. I owe you an apology, Mom said finally. Her voice sounded serious and soft at the same time. A real one, she continued. I've spent 3 years looking down on you, feeling sorry for you, making jokes about your clothes, your car, and your choices. And all that time you were building this. She waved her hand around the room as if to show everything that had been done. You were creating something amazing and I was too blind and too proud to see it, she said. Why were you blind? I asked softly. Because I needed you to need me. Both of you girls, but especially you. Saris did what I suggested. He went into real estate. Dated the men I approved of. Built the life I imagined. But you were always independent, always doing things your own way. I wanted you to fail so you'd come back and admit I was right, she said, her voice almost trembling. The honesty was shocking. That's horrible of me, she whispered. I'm your mom. I should want you to succeed no matter what path you choose. But I didn't. I wanted you to succeed my way or not at all. She looked at me. I'm sorry, Erilyn. Truly sorry. I looked at Saris and then at Mom. I'm sorry too for going along with it, for the comments, the jokes, the attitude. Saris's eyes were wet. You're my sister. I should have been happy for you no matter what you were doing. Instead, I used you to make myself feel better. Explain that. I took a deep breath. Mom always said you were the rebellious one, the one who wouldn't listen. That made me a good daughter by comparison. So when you were struggling, it made me feel like I made the right choices and you didn't. It was mean and petty and I'm ashamed of it. I paused and looked around the quiet room. The soft candlelight reflected in Mom's eyes, and Saris was nodding, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. I appreciate the apologies, I said finally. But I need you both to understand something. This weekend isn't about showing off my success. Then what is it about? Mom asked, her voice gentle but curious. It's about showing you who I really am. Not who you decided I was, but who I have been all along. Someone who works hard, builds things, and isn't afraid to get messy in the process. I wanted you to meet my team, see my work, and understand my life, I explained. And we have been attacking that life for years, Saris said quietly. Yes, I said. How do we fix this? Mom asked. I don't know if we can. Not right away. But maybe we can start by having honest talks instead of assuming things. Maybe you can ask me about my life instead of telling me what's wrong with it. I'd like that, Mom said softly. I want to know the real you. Me too, Saris said. The real you, not the version I made up. We sat there as the candles burned lower, talking more honestly than we had in years. We spoke about their fears that I was wasting my life, about my frustration at being constantly dismissed, and the ways we had all failed each other. Can I ask something? Saris said finally. The car, the clothes. You have money now. Why not get fancier things? Because the car works fine and the clothes are comfortable. Success doesn't have to look like fancy cars or designer clothes. Sometimes it's a 7-year-old Honda and work boots because you're busy building something meaningful instead of trying to impress people, I said. That's a shot at us, Mom said. But she was almost smiling. A little, I admitted. Fair enough. We earned it. My phone buzzed again. A text from Mr. Kalin, the photographer. He said he was here for the morning photos. Still want to be involved? I showed the screen to Mom and Saris. Tomorrow morning we're doing a photo shoot for a magazine. You can come watch if you want to see more of what I do. We'd like that, Mom said. We'd really like that. 7 a.m. Be ready to walk the property. It's a 3-hour shoot. We'll be there, Saris promised. As we said goodnight, Saris hugged me. A real hug, not the quick hugs we used to do. It was warm, long, and full of emotion. I'm proud of you, Erilyn. I should have said that years ago, but I'm saying it now. I'm so proud of you, she said. Mom hugged me too, holding me a little longer than usual. My daughter, the boss, the innovator, the woman who built an empire in luxury resorts. I have a lot to learn about you. We have time if you want, I said. I do, she said. I really do. I walked back to my suite alone. The resort was quiet, calm, and peaceful. The lake outside shone with moonlight, making everything look like a picture. The grounds were perfect, exactly like I imagined them. The flowers were bright even in the moonlight, the paths were clean, and the trees swayed gently in the cool night breeze. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Saris. I looked you up, Forbes magazine's awards. Erilyn, you're kind of famous in hotels. I texted back, kind of. I like to let the work speak. Her reply came fast. It's speaking really loudly. I googled you. There are articles calling you a game changer in luxury hotels. People say you are changing the way luxury resorts work. Don't believe everything you read, I said. Maybe I should believe more, she replied. Good night, little sister. Thanks for not giving up on us, I said. I stood on my private terrace looking out over Azure Heights Resort, my resort. I thought about how far I had come. The late nights, the hard problems, the times I doubted myself, but also the happy moments, seeing my vision come true and the pride of building something from nothing. My mom and sister spent years doubting me. Yes, it hurt. But their opinions didn't change what I had built. I did it anyway without their approval or understanding. Tomorrow they would see more. They would watch the photographer take pictures, hear the staff talk about the culture we created, and see the respect I earned in the hotel world. Maybe they would understand. Maybe not. Either way, Azure Heights would still be here. My company would still grow. My team would still believe in our vision. I had built something amazing not despite my family's doubts, but because I wanted to prove something to myself. And as I went inside, I thought that was the greatest success of all.